How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another review here on Big Gold Belt Media. It's your boy, Damien G. Like the hat says, find me on all your social media platforms at Damien G Show. So, you guys know by now, I'm the animated story guy. I'm the animated movie, video game guy. Okay? So, whenever we get anything here at the network that has some sort of animation attached to it, I'm the dude usually that kind of takes the reins on that. And it is a job I take responsibly. It is a job I take seriously. And then sometimes the job has you reviewing things that you love, and sometimes the job has you reviewing things that are not so much. For anyone who knows me from covering my retro cartoon reviews all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, and the like, knows that more often than not, these cartoons that I react to back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s leave me rather disappointed. So I went into watching this next one with hope, because typically when I do Big Gold Bell Media reviews, I'm watching things that are at least going to keep my attention span for more than an hour, half hour. It pains me to say that Monkey King Reborn does not fit that description at all. Monkey King Reborn released, I believe, in China April of earlier this year. I don't know if the US release is imminent, but I do know there is an English track to it. I know it's on DVD now, Blu-rays and such, so get it in stores while you can. Maybe after this review, you'll want to prove me wrong. But off the bat, I'm going to tell you, I was bored. Who would have thought that a movie about the Monkey King, about Sun Wukong, would be boring to me? You would think martial arts, old school martial art flick kind of vibes, save the world, would keep me interested. It didn't. None of these characters were redeeming for me. None of them. Not the Monkey King, not his sidekicks, not even Tang, the cool monk that gets kidnapped. Spoilers, partway through this movie. Not even Fruit. I think his name was Fruit Tie, which was basically like this key energy that was part of the plot. And I know I'm already jumping because there was nothing really to write home about for me when I was watching this movie. So the story goes, it's basically the Monkey King. If you followed the Monkey King's history, was a Journey into the West, where he basically becomes he becomes the Monkey King. I hate to say it that way. I don't want to paint it with such a broad brush, but he's a demon in this film. He's under the tutelage of the monk Tang, and who is known as Golden Cicada at some points in this film. And he's training amongst two other demons, basically named Pigsy and Sandy, for the American release. I'm not going to try to butcher their names. They're Chinese-inspired names. I'm not even going to go there because I'm not going to sound even more stupid probably than I do now saying Sun Wukong. But the whole story of this movie is, it starts off with this soliloquy about the great evil that was sealed away years ago called Primordium, and talks about the movie and talks about the buildup of what led us to this point, about how he was sealed away, blah, blah, blah. Cool, great. So what winds up happening is that while the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, is over here being a mischievous monkey, because that's what monkeys tend to do, he winds up setting this deity free. I guess almost like the Tree of Life. He destroys the Tree of Life to get these man fruits, which, if you look at the graphics, look like embryos, so that kind of made me uncomfortable. So watch them eating embryos. Just saying, looked weird. Really odd graphical choice for me. Little uncomfortable. But what winds up happening is there's a fight in the forest. He loses his temper. He unwittingly sets free Primordium, who kidnaps Master Tang. And then he gets kidnapped, and then the journey to try to save him begins. He has 3 days to save him, or else Primordium is going to engulf Golden Cicada to become his true monster form. Now, when he comes out of the ground, he straight up looks like Cell. When Cell first hatched out of the ground from Dr. Gero, not imperfect Cell, like the cicada form, the bug form of Cell. And he has all these evil underlings and these dweebs that kind of give their life for him. Typical bad guy shtick, right? Nothing really to write home about. Until we realize the key energy, one of the little embryos actually is born, and he calls him Fruitai or Fruity. And what we learned over the course of this adventure, because number one, Sun Wukong can't stand this little guy or gal. He flicks him or her at every given moment, like an older brother being annoyed by its little brother or sister. I don't even think the gender was specified, so I'm just going to say brother. So forgive me if I got it wrong. But what winds up happening in this movie is that we figure out that Fruity or Fruitai has to give up their life to seal away Primordium, because Fruity's like this little infantile child who's like, I'm going to save the day. I'm going to save my family and my friends. He calls a monkey throughout the whole movie. And they do this to save Master Tang. And what winds up happening is that Sun Wukong is annoyed by every little thing that this kid does. And as they go along their adventure, there's random bad guys they run into. We get all the way through this movie, through all hijinks and shenanigans. And as the days go by, we don't know if Sun Wukong is going to save his master. Master is weakened. Master Tang knows that eventually that Primordium is going to want to devour him and eat his soul, etc., get his full powers. We get to the final battle where Primordium is basically stomping everybody out. The final climactic battle of good versus evil. Sun Wukong takes out Primordium's lackeys, for lack of a better term. There's evil demons from across the globe that come to witness his rebirth. And pretty much without any kind of stress or drama, the good guys, Sandy and Pigsy kind of help out without, even though they're the comic relief, they do help out. They whoop up on them. Good guys prevail in the first part. It's like fighting in a video game, right? You beat all the underlings, say stage 1 through 7. You get to stage 8. You get to the last board. You fight all the boss type characters, and then you get to the big boss at the end of the game, like Mr. X, if we're talking about Streets of Rage. So then they get to Mr. X, and then or Primordium, and Primordium just beat the crap out of everybody. Beats up Pigsy, beats up Standy, eats Golden Cicada, Master Tang, so that we have to relive the fact that Master dies. No, you get that moment, where Wukong is beat up, he's distraught, he watches his master die. Fruity tries to encourage Sun Wukong to get up, and it's another fight ensues, because what winds up happening is that Fruity gives up his life, essentially to give Sun Wukong that Super Saiyan power, to beat Primordium. And then the movie ends with him obviously beating the shit out of Primordium. And I will tell you this, the fight scenes were definitely action-packed, and those were the best things about this movie, but they weren't enough to keep my attention in between boring exposition parts. The final fight was great. It was very John Woo inspired, in my opinion. A lot of action set pieces in that last fight. Almost a little too much going on graphically, because this was a computer graphics animated movie, and there was just too much happening on screen at one time almost. It was almost as if it was sensory overload. But even that withstanding, the fights were great. They were good for what they were, especially the final fight. Once it's all over, we get the happy ending. Master's reborn. Everyone's back. The Monkey King is the superhero that we all thought he was going to be. And then that's the end of it. I believe everyone kind of makes it out. We get the rebirth of Fruitai or Fruity. And then the movie ends. That's it. It's very paint by numbers. It was very cut and dry. It was very basic. If you took out the Kung Fu flick part of it all, you'd be bored out of your mind, just like I was. The graphics, like I said, computer animated, but there was a lot of sensory overload. The voice acting was uneven. I'm going to say uneven because it makes me annoyed. I was grateful to listen to the Mandarin version and not the English version, because I have a sneaking suspicion the English version would have been more cringeworthy for me to watch. But still kind of lackluster. The script was kind of basic. It's following a very formulaic type of hero's journey, and we know that was going to happen. And, am I the age bracket for this? Probably not. and I feel like I'm running into that a little bit more. I'm not the age bracket for this. I'm a little too nuanced almost for basic kiddie action flick, where the hero saves the day to overcome some insurmountable odds. I like the disbelief being suspended, sure, but still wasn't great. So overall, you could skip this. You can get it again on DVD or digital download wherever you get those. But if I have to give this a rating, this was a straight up D. And I don't mean D for Damien. It's just D for dumb. I was bored. There were only a few things that really caught my attention. It was a slog for me to get through. I had to keep coming back and forth to watch this. Maybe I'm just spoiled because I'm so used to John Wick action films with a little bit more. And I'm not comparing it to John Wick or The Matrix or anything like that. But I just was bored. How are you bored in an action movie? Yeah, you bury it under like 80 minutes of exposition since this was a 90-minute flick. It's like 10 to 15 minutes of fight scenes and the rest is just talking and journeying and boring talking and journeying and bad jokes and bad puns and stupid comic relief. And I'm normally not this negative, but holy crap, this was bad. So I give it a D. If you disagree, please comment down below in the comments here at Big Gold Belt Media. I want to know, what did I get wrong about this? Or was I right? Please let me know if you watched this movie, if you've seen it. Go back and watch the trailer. It makes you feel amped. And then when you're watching it, I'm kind of just feeling so unenthusiastic. I told my team members, I said, this is a real slog. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. But because I'm a professional, I wanted to get through this with you all or for you all. And again, I will call this a D. The fight scenes were great, even though the graphics were a little bit too much on my eyes. Everything else was rather lackluster. Give it a whirl, give it a try if you want, but you can skip it. Just saying. Comment down below. Let us know what you think. This is Big Gold Belt Media. I am Damien G. See right there, the guy with the hat. And you can find me, like I said, at Damien G Show all across your social media platforms. Am I a dumbass for getting it wrong in your opinion? Or am I a genius for getting it right and saying it sucked? You let me know. We'll catch you next time.